It's November 21st, 2022, and welcome to episode 72 of the Baby Metal Podcast. We gather in the podcast Discord server on alternate weeks or something like that to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future projects of Baby Metal. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I'm Paul, and I'm joined by Kevin.
Where am I? Am I in the right place? I heard Bandmade. This is a Bandmade podcast, right?
And Maggie.
I think they both start with the same letters.
I think I'm in the right place.
All right. Yes. So it's been a long time since we've all been here recording together.
Yes.
Maggie and I recorded something a little while ago, but even that was a long time ago. So like stuff has happened.
Stuff has happened.
Stuff
And things.
Yep.
Stuff and things.
And stuff.
Stuff and things. So, I mean, I guess basically that's the main things to talk about are that we got one song. And then we got another song, and we got a tour support.
Mm-hmm.
So what to do? Let's maybe we can talk about the tour first.
Yes, let's talk about the tour. I'm excited about the tour.
Tour to end all tours.
The tour to end all tours.
It's a lot of shows, right?
It is a lot of shows, and they are all participating in all of them, I believe.
And so what we're talking about is Sabaton has a European tour. Starts April 14th in Leeds and goes to May 20th in, where is that? Finland, I guess. And all of that whole stretch, which is, it does look like it's, I can't count, but 20-ish shows. It says featuring special guest Baby Metal supported by Lordi. So
yes,
they are one of three.
Yes, and do note that this is actually a rescheduled tour as well from last year, because it was supposed to have been, or no, not last year. It was supposed to have been the beginning of this year, and then they pushed it to the beginning of next year. Well, beginning-ish, spring-ish. They were originally supposed to have The Hue, I think, was supposed to go on tour with them for this tour. And then obviously it got rescheduled, and they must have had to have dropped out or something for some reason. And then Baby Metal and Lordi came in to save the day, I guess. So here they are, and I'm excited because that just means, I get to see them. So, and it'll be the first time my fiance gets to see them too. So I'm pretty stoked.
That's amazing. And you got to think, too, at some point during that tour, Joachim will do Homage and I live with them, right?
I hope that's the case. I really hope that.
Yeah,
because that's a good time. That's always a good time.
I got to think that's going to happen somewhere.
Oh, yes, for sure. If it doesn't, I'll be very concerned.
But it actually may not be on this tour. I bet he would do it, but I wonder if it would, are they just going to do this?
You don't think so?
The one little place in Finland or something?
Why not? They used to do things, like Red Hot Chili Peppers comes to mind for the end of their tour, right? Coming out and playing with them. They did that with Korn on their support tour at their last show. The Korn guys came out and did Gimme Chocolate with everybody. So it's not like it would be unprecedented for them to go out.
Exactly.
So in the chat, Liffy says that Lordi was there before it was rescheduled. So it's just
okay. I just knew that I knew The Hue for sure was there originally. I didn't know about Lordi, but that's cool.
Did we talk? I know we've talked about a couple of times on the show. We've talked about it before. Koba's talked about it in interviews. Hiring staff, getting equipment places, all of the costs associated with tours. Sidebar. I got to know the support staff for the Bandmade tour pretty well, and learned some really interesting things about the logistics of touring and the cost of touring from, like, the equipment guy, the bus driver, that kind of stuff. So yes, it's phenomenally expensive to do this kind of thing, even for, fewer shows and trying to save as much money as possible. So I think this is really smart because they can share staff, right? They can share things like transportation staff. They probably save a ton of money by going on a support tour and not headlining, because the expectation is then for them not to handle anything but their own logistics.
Truth.
Right. They the schedule's already basically made. And
Right.
the other thing, I mean, well, and it's good. I'm sure it's good for Sabaton too. But Koba, I think, talked about this. But I've seen somebody talking about this, that you don't want everybody to like rush out immediately as soon as they can, because then the audience is going to get burned out. Like they're not going to be able to. They're going to have to choose which people to see. If you're actually at least all going together, then if there's 3 people on one night, then you see all 3 of them, rather than having to choose one of the 3.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is super smart. I'm glad they're doing that. It's a good way to kind of ease back into the rhythm of touring too, which is, I'm sure, grueling. It's a good way to see a lot of places. They don't have to deal with booking all the venues. They probably don't have to pay nearly as much to be a part of those venues, being second on the bill instead of headlining, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is super smart. I'm glad they're doing it. Another sidebar, I'm just going to drop this stat. I learned the tour bus Bandmate used on their tour was about $1,000 a mile.
Wait,
and they
hold
did
on.
almost
what?
30,000 miles.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So to put into perspective just one aspect of traveling, they spent about $30,000 on just the bus, and that doesn't include the driver's time.
That's surprising. is that really the best they could do?
Oh, okay. So, this bus was insane. First of all,
it was big. It was huge.
Coldplay used it before them to give you the idea of this was like supreme top of the line tour bus. Like it does not get any better. So.
It was fancy looking.
Yeah.
So they probably could have gone cheaper, but
they could have gone cheaper. But to give you an idea, Big Axe touring, it was about $30,000 for that bus.
Yeah.
For 20 shows.
It's very cool that they're playing. I wonder. Okay, so April 14th. That's like Fox Day plus 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
I wouldn't expect them to reveal any sort of new look or anything on a support tour.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they'll probably do that at the, like you said, at the January show, most likely.
Yeah.
And then that'll give me plenty of time to cry and find material and put stuff together. So, yeah. I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, find a horse.
You have a fiance. Is he into cosplay? That could be an easy way to get a horse.
Oh my God, seriously? I mean, I'm sure if I asked, but actually that'd be quite funny. I'll make the suggestion. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, excellent.
Honey, I bought you a horse costume. Don't ask questions.
It's glorious.
We had some sort of, I think they were talking with, I forget who was doing the interview with Joachim, but somebody was interviewing him, and he alluded to the being in talks with BABYMETAL for some future project, and this is probably it. Now we sort of know what it is. I think people were speculating that maybe they were going to do another song or something, but this is presumably what they were talking about.
Alan of Decodec. Decodec?
Yes, that sounds right. I don't know how you would pronounce it, but yeah, it was sort of, it was enigmatic.
Right.
It was not revealed exactly what it was, but there was something, and they couldn't tell us what. And I think must be it.
Or it's not. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. So the next sort of major thing, I suppose, is that last time we talked, we had this schedule, right? This calendar of coming events, and we knew that we were going to get one song in October and one song in November, and it is now November 21st, and we have gotten both of those songs.
We have.
So
Yes, indeed.
I would say let's talk about them in order. Right, so we'll talk about the October one first.
Sure.
Okay. So the first one it's Divine Attack Shingeki. It says 2022-10/21 available worldwide on the YouTube. It has gotten 1.5 million views since that time.
Oh, hot dang.
It's pretty darn good for a month.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, sounds like a lot. I don't know.
That's probably a lot of replays too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yep.
The algorithm is the algorithm.
Well, true.
We like views.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, like, and so it lots of people observed that this happened and wrote about it and said, look, they're back. Here's the thing. The video was called The Official Visualizer. And this is like the first time, apart from like, a plugin in YouTube and iTunes or whatever, I've seen the word visualizer. So I don't know if this is a standard thing.
This is a standard thing. It's an older thing. My first thought when I read the word visualizer was it really whips the llama's ass. And if you know, you know.
I
I'm just gonna
don't
leave that
know.
there.
Actually, I've never heard that saying before. So I don't, but I do know what a visualizer is. So I was not expecting to see the girls be singing and dancing and all that sort of stuff. Like I figured it would be just, pictures and then seeing them on the occasion, and which was what how the video was, which is really, really cool. Actually, I think was really neat. But
so how does so like the distortion thing was called a MV, right?
Yeah.
Why was that not a visualizer? Like I don't understand what makes something a visualizer versus a video.
Visualizers back in the day were really popular, late 90s, early 2000s, because they were for the first time you could have music playing and something on the screen being reactive to the frequencies. Like our podcast, if you listen on YouTube and watch along, that's a visualizer.
Right. And that's the only sense I knew it in as what I was saying, like the iTunes plugin, right? You can make it just react to music, but this is like, specific imagery from this song and says like, the other one and stuff like that. So it's not just reacting arbitrarily to the music. It's song specific. So that's why I don't understand why it's not a video.
Yeah. I don't understand that either, because I wouldn't consider anything they've released a visualizer in that sense, because it's not doing, from what I can tell, things that are reactive to the music. Yeah.
Well, there was some elements, not a whole lot, but very, very minor.
So I think there's a difference between editing to the beat and editing to music and a strict visualizer. If that makes sense. Like you cut on the downbeat, you react to things in time with the music when you're editing, not using the frequency response to generate something on the screen.
I can wonder if this. So I have two hypotheses. I do not know if they are compatible or not. But one is this. We're entering this sort of like, metalverse, virtual world or whatever. And so this might just be like, it's just sort of like a stylized, like, we'll pretend this is a visualizer, you remember from Winamp or whatever. So it's just calling it that because it's kind of like being virtual.
It's all made up and the points don't matter with BABYMETAL anyways. So.
That's true.
But the other thing I was wondering was, does this potentially mean that we might actually get a MV later, right? I mean, like could this be the thing that we have now as a placeholder, but later we'll get something that actually reveals something more?
Maybe for one of the other songs, perhaps. Maybe not specifically to this one.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like this one specifically, we don't have an MV for because we have only a visualizer, and so I'm wondering if we might someday get an MV for the song.
I don't see them doing that, honestly.
Could be.
I mean, that's my opinion, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not been something that they've really done in the past that I can at least remember, unless somebody can.
Yeah, no, but they haven't had a visualizer before, so there's no precedent. Anyway, yeah, I mean,
I don't know. This just to me seems like using the word in a slightly different way than we're used to, because that's the shtick, right?
Yeah.
That's just kind of what they do.
The only reason that I was sort of thinking about the possibility of maybe getting more later is just that we're right on the leading edge of this thing that they're not really fully revealing yet. So and with Distortion and Starlight, they said, all right, well, heck with that. We're just going to make little movies that have nothing to do with anything.
Right.
And so, but then of course they didn't go back and revisit those either. But I don't know. Anyway, who knows? I think there's still lots of possibilities left.
Yeah.
Although the stupid gallery still hasn't moved. I think it's I'm losing faith that it's going to do anything other than what it is presently doing.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a possibility.
I would not be surprised if that becomes vaporware.
Yeah.
But you never know. We should probably talk about the song.
Song and or visualizer, either one, if you want to talk about the imagery or the song.
So I'll start with a shower thought I had on this
Hooray.
while I was prepping for this. I'm paraphrasing this, but one of the reasons there's two versions of Metal Resistance is Copa thought syncopation was too Japanese for a Western audience.
Mm-hmm.
This to me is one of the most. I know you could drop this at the beginning of any action anime ever made, and I think it would work as an opening titles, which screams to me very, how does this fit a Western audience, but syncopation doesn't? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my shower thought this morning.
Yeah, no.
When I was starting to think about what to talk about.
Yeah. It just the way that the song kind of plays out is very, very anime intro. Like you have,
yes,
like I could see it in my head. Like, oh, here's the standing anime person on the hill with the wind blowing in their face, and the text is coming across slowly, and then all of a sudden the time has come, stand up, and then all your friends are coming and jumping in on the side. Like it screamed anime opening immediately.
If it doesn't already exist, somebody out there slap this in front of Attack on Titan and see what happens. Yes. I bet it works pretty well.
I agree. Well, pretty much almost any anime opening. Well, maybe not Chainsaw Man, but...
Interesting. Yeah, I don't have that feeling only because I don't know anime. I don't have any reference point. So I believe you, but I
Lippy
didn't
says
have
that
that
was
effect.
Already done. Drop that in the chat. I would love to see it, if you don't mind.
I know... Well, the thing I'm about to say, it was probably even more true of the next one, but it took me a little bit before I liked it, but it didn't take me that long, and I don't know how they do this. I don't know how they do. How is it they can make something like suddenly stick with you and then not get old,
right?
So I think I know what one of the things that underwhelmed me at first was that I felt like I kind of knew it already from the snippets. Like the snippets that we had didn't leave that much. Like there wasn't that much new that we didn't have.
And this is why I didn't listen to the snippets, because I had a feeling that this would that's what would happen. So that's why I stopped. Because I just had a feeling that it's just like you hear it so often, and it's even that little bit can just turn you off from it just very easily.
Well, but that lasted like 3 listens at most, and then that effect was gone.
Oh, that's good.
This has a little bit of what you would have expected, I guess, out of a Baby Metal song, in that it has kind of alternation between heavy and calm, and it's very sort of, it's narratively constructed as they often are. So there's like a heavy calm, and then it gets very quiet, and then it builds back up.
Right.
But it's otherwise like it's pretty straightforward. I thought. I mean, like it doesn't feel like it has any gimmick left in it. It's not comic. It's not weird. It's just good.
Yes. I agree.
I would say that in the way that it almost doesn't sound like a Baby Metal song anymore to me.
Yeah.
If you didn't tell me it was them, I would not have known right away. Well, I mean, obviously, of course, I would have known right away. I would have recognized Sue's voice. But my point is, it feels like a departure from a lot of the music that's come before it.
Yeah.
Not all of it. Like, it kind of feels like Arcadia in a lot of ways to me.
I can see that.
Maybe,
yeah.
but I still, I mean, maybe it's just a anti-Arcadia bias I have, but Arcadia just seems manic and like it's trying too hard. Whereas this really feels like it was like they took the time and constructed it.
Well, something
Same with
I was going
Monochrome.
to say,
Same-
something we haven't mentioned yet is the fact that Sue herself, with probably some help, I'm sure, actually wrote some of the lyrics to the song.
Yeah, I saw. There's been some reference to that Sue Metal has some credit on the lyrics, and it's. I wasn't able just now to track down where that. What the source of that is? Where is
Funny
that
you mentioned
published?
that. 4 days ago, the Baby Metal YouTube account pinned a comment on the Divine Attack visualizer that has all of the lyrics, and the lyrics by Sue Metal, music and arrangement by Meg Metal and Hey Metal.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see.
So,
So
it was other places that you were thinking of. It was referenced prior to that, but they had actually just pinned that comment 4 days ago.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
okay.
it was,
and so that's interesting. So it says lyrics like nobody else. It just says lyrics : Sue Metal. That's it.
Yeah, it was noted on like the Spotify, and I think it was noted on Amazon Music too. I don't know about iTunes. I don't do iTunes, so.
Well,
that
it was.
Sounds right.
I think in some of the write-ups and magazine sites and stuff like that, they referred to a press release, and so I was trying to track down because that's I assume that's the sort of the real source, but I wasn't able to find the press release in the minutes that I had. But this officially pinned comment is probably exactly what we want.
Yes.
So that's cool and interesting.
For a couple of reasons. Sue Metal wrote a song, or at least we're led to believe that. And they've done something they've never done before, and that was post the lyrics and pin them to the video.
True.
Yeah.
Which is something I can absolutely get behind. I hope they keep doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So far they've been pretty consistent on the other one.
Yes.
But yeah, hopefully they will keep doing that. I mean, the lyrics have always been available in the CDs, right? Or the but
something you had to buy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not saying this is the first time we've ever had official lyrics for things, but this is, I think, the first time we've had lyrics before the CD has come out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's nice not to have to speculate.
It's nice not to have to speculate.
Too.
Guess wrong. And the other thing is too that you have these places where whatever Ma says, oh, did you see it says kill here? Because they like because it's ambiguous. It could have been anything, and so this part of the art of the lyrics is like how specifically it was written.
Sure.
So the ridiculous Awadama fever. It's like, that is not what they're saying. O-U-R-H-O-U-R. No, that isn't. It's just awa, awa, awa. But, whatever. They thought it was funny. They would write it,
Yeah.
write it this way.
A-W-A-A-W-A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also skeptical of want some beat in BMC. That's just wasabi. That's all that is.
Okay.
It's a joke. I'm confident. I mean, they write on the screen "want some beat," but
okay.
but I mean, it's horrible English, and
Not great.
and it
It's
is a
not great.
Japanese word.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maggie, you sound unconvinced deeply.
No,
by
I
that.
I have a feeling that you are just kidding. It's all good.
Okay. What else did
It's
I want
really
to say
interesting.
about this?
Like, I can't decide how I feel about this song. On one hand, it goes pretty hard. It checks all the boxes for things I like about music. Like when it comes on, I headbang. The lyrics are cool. But I can't get past the thought in the back of my head is just kind of sounds like every other heavy rock / metal anthem that's kind of out there. And I think that also comes back to once I connected it to like an anime intro in my head, that's now how I just think about this song.
I sort of feel like it's I mean, if this is not the first track on the album, I would be super surprised.
This
really does feel like
it was slot in at the first
according to the track lists that have been released, along with the vinyls that have been released on the Revolver and the other magazine that's selling those special
there's
ones.
like 10 vinyls.
It's actually the second track.
Interesting.
Uh,
Oh,
Are you saying we have names for the other 8 songs?
What they've been doing is they've been releasing them as, so it's 1 Divine Attack, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I see.
interesting.
Yeah. They placed it at number 2. So yeah, it's the second track actually, which is curious.
Okay. But then I guess I would probably guess that the first track is kind of nothing, because this really does feel like launch.
This could be the first actual track, but what lives in the number 1 slot on the album is, I don't know, something like future metal,
Right.
and a very obvious intro song that leads into this. That's maybe a minute and a half.
I kind of hope not. I mean, Metal Resistance didn't do that. I know obviously Baby Metal did, which was always fantastic. And then of course Metal Galaxy did, but Metal Resistance didn't. I mean, it's not like it's a set thing for them to do. I hope that they don't, to be honest, but they do what they will.
Yeah. Well, so now if this really is track 2, they got some splaining to do. Because I mean, like the time has come. Stand Up. How can that be anywhere but track 1?
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't mind. Baby Metal designs all of their songs around performing them live, right, and telling a story. Yeah. So having an intro, like, do you go out of your way to listen to future metal? My guess is probably not. But when they,
I like it. I do. I like that song a lot.
Well, I'm saying I like that song a lot too. But it's not a full song. There's no real vocals in it. But it fills that role of build-up, right? So when they start a show with it, it's pretty cool, right? When it transitions into the next song.
I mean, they used it as like a filler in the middle of Legend M as well, and it worked pretty well. It was kind of like, okay, we're taking a break. Here's this really cool thing. You have no clue what the hell it is, but it's awesome. It's just music, but
I think it's YouTube strikes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So another thing that was good about this was that there is a little bit of English, but there is not much. So it kind of checks both boxes. You know, the English speakers have something they can sing along with, but it's still a Japanese song. So that's good. I have not actually been paying too much attention to the reactions and stuff like that, but Herman Lee did a reaction on this, which was kind of interesting to watch. You know, he's of Dragon Force and did the guitars on Road of Resistance and will not let you forget it.
Yes.
So he talked a little bit about how, you know, this is the actual guitar that you know he used, and he has 2 that are just like it, but you can tell which one is which because one's a little heavier in some other way, and you know somebody offered him some huge amount of money for it, and he said no, and that's like, all right, well, let's get back to Divine Attack, can we? But yeah, it was interesting listening to his take on it, because you could hear him go through the same cycle that I sort of took a couple of listens through to get to, but it's like at first he's like, well, what are they doing? You know, okay, and then it sort of cycles around, and then they do the same thing a second time, and then a third time, and by the time you get to the third time, you're like, all right, yeah, I'm into this now. Like I get it, sort of.
It's going to be very fun live.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good time.
he had this not quite completely complimentary thing to say. Is like, you know, I bet that they're saving their better songs for later.
Yes.
You know, it's like, well, all right,
absolutely.
Yes.
They probably are, but it's a not a fully complimentary thing to say about this one.
We didn't really talk about the visuals of it. Do you have any thoughts on the visualization part of the visualizer?
Well, I did. So I mean, like, we recognize some of these things from the visuals on the photo cards and things. But one thing that I thought was, yeah, it was, well, they had, well, also not only horses, but also this, those like the rotating stairs and the smoke and stuff like that. But one thing that was pretty cool was that they actually included essentially video from those photo shoots. So, even though it was sort of stylized, you know, you got to see them, you know, do the various poses or whatever, or walk away, and it was surprisingly effective after having seen the photo cards. I guess I'm only commenting on the parts that actually human and not computer generated, but
yeah, but I mean that speaks volumes. It's a lot of visual noise with some imagery we recognize from stuff they've teased previously.
Yeah, I was not overly keen about the sort of prominence at the end of this kind of like, I don't know, it seemed almost sort of like a clock tower or something that had the other one on it.
Yes.
I sort of feel like that was a little too self-promotional for me, but I would have not opted to do that. But
the board cube of the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, what'd you think?
It was nice for them to appear. Everything else was just kind of noise. I don't know. As somebody who didn't really follow the gallery all that closely and only kind of looked at the cards once, I didn't immediately draw a connection to the visualizations in the visualizer. So I didn't really have that going for me, looking at it as just kind of a video. I think the best way to describe it is it's just kind of a lot of noise. Just a lot of visual vomit.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that.
A lot of rotating.
Yeah, a lot of rotating.
I wonder, there's also this sort of angel figure in the middle that is featured fairly prominently. It's, you know, some winged thing.
Yes.
Unclear exactly what that, you know, is supposed to mean.
At one point in time, like the face on that statue actually changes into like a skeleton or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think there's intention. They're trying to tell a story here.
Yeah.
What it is, I'm not quite sure, and maybe as more music releases or they do more stuff, that'll start weaving those threads a little more effectively.
Yeah. I guess the another thing that this has in common with the gallery page is the you know, as it spins around, there are places where there are these little rocks, you know, like the fossils of the gallery. So, I don't know. It's thematically not dissimilar, I guess. Right. I don't think I had much more to say about the MV. I've watched it, or the visualizer. I've watched it the OV. I've watched it a few times, not a huge number, but a few.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, but it definitely grew on me. I mean, like I definitely started thinking, I don't know, and you know, then I listened to it, you know, nonstop for a while, and that solved it. Okay, so anyway, that was October, and then, you know, so then we had to wait for November to come around. I don't know when they announced this. Was it just a surprise, or did we get some warning?
It was a slight warning, because I think they might have accidentally released their like tweet or something a couple days before without any dates or anything like that, so people knew it was coming. They just didn't know exactly when. And then there was the announcement, and then there was the announcement it was getting released, and then 2 days later it was released.
Okay. Anyway, so the thing that was released. So I should say maybe one thing about the previous one. The area, the myth that related to, was called Cavalry. You know, and so it had the horses and all that stuff. But the song itself was called Divine Attack.
Right.
There's not a guaranteed correlation between the myth name and the song name. However, Monochrome, you know, turned out to be
straight up
both.
Monochrome, yeah.
Yeah. So, and so this one actually, I would say, I went back to listen to the snippets, and once I knew the song, the snippets all sort of made sense, but I didn't have that same sort of feeling of like already knowing the song from listening to the snippets. And actually, there were a couple of snippets that are really pretty obscure. I mean, like they're in there, but they're buried so much that you don't really hear them in the real song. So,
Sure.
So that was good. I didn't feel even spoiled in the same way that I felt with Divine Attack.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had an issue with Monochrome. I know. That sounds weird coming from me, but yeah, I initially didn't like I mean, I still am kind of like meh about it right now, because Monochrome sounds like the quintessential current modern day heavy rock ballad to me. It doesn't, I don't think it sounds a lot like BABYMETAL to me. It just sounds very standard. Albeit there's been a couple of times the last few days or so where the OOOs kind of go through my head, but elsewise it's just ugh. Which is weird for me to say but it just did not click for me. It hasn't yet. I'll probably warm up to it, but I think it's kind of boring. I
think my reaction to this one, to Monochrome, was I had a much sort of like wider range click experience with Monochrome than with Divine Attack. I sort of felt like initially, and then it's kind of like when I got it, and it's like, now I really like it a lot. So
I mean,
so maybe it's still coming.
Well, to be fair, and this might actually shock you, I initially didn't like Karate when it first came out. I thought it was quite annoying, actually, because I really didn't like the say-ahs at the beginning of the song. Did not like them at all. But now it's like, heck yeah, I'll say yeah, I'll join in.
I hated
jump
Papaya
in.
when it came out.
Oh, really? Oh, see, I love that one. Loved it. So yeah, I mean, I guess everyone's got their ones that they like and don't like, I guess. I mean, there's people who still don't like Gimme Chocolate, or they think it's overplayed. I still absolutely love it, but everyone's got their thing.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of music.
Though I think I still think they've got something. I don't know what it is, but there is something that it's like it allows you to keep listening to it over and over again, and instead of getting tired of it, you learn to appreciate it, and suddenly it's better. So like I feel like I've had this curve with a lot of their songs. Like the first time I heard it, maybe Distortion, I haven't quite made it all the way with that one, because I know I really didn't go for that at first. But it, also hearing it live makes a big difference. And yeah, so with this one, I can feel it has aspects of normalness to it, but it's so well constructed. I mean, like you could see how all this stuff was fit together, and how it does all the right stuff, and I think it does it better than the examples that it's being compared to, right?
Fair enough.
I was trying to think what to compare it with when I was listening to it, and because I had the feeling like this was sort of like the category I kept coming up with was something like heavy alternative,
Prog.
Yeah,
Progressive.
That's the thing. The example I was thinking of was like Nirvana, Soundgarden. I wouldn't have thought they would be prog, right? I mean, isn't prog Rush? But
Polyphia.
Right. Yeah. But that's not, the Monochrome is not like Polyphia. It's very sort of straightforward.
I have thoughts.
Heavy. But Yeah, so I thought the closest I was getting was Soundgarden, but then when I went to listen to Soundgarden, no, it doesn't sound like them at all.
Doesn't sound like
because
Soundgarden.
they sound more like Led Zeppelin than I remembered. But but still, it's in that vicinity. It's but it's so tight. So like it has this. The OOOs part for audience participation. You can hear that's happening. It has really effective bass, but not thumping. It's just for power. It's just it does these drops every once in a while that really kind of like they're really quite effective. It occasionally there's some strange special effects in there, and occasionally it'll sound distorted. They do this thing. I feel like they do this a lot. Actually, this sort of it's maybe almost like a trademark, baby metal thing. But they, I think of it as riding the upbeat, but they lead into the downbeat in a way, in various ways. So it really drives the thing forward in a way, and you can. I don't know. It really pulls you in. There's often a little phrase before they hit the strong downbeat. So like in the main chorus, she says "ano," and then the downbeat comes on monochrome, right? And anyway, I'm just impressed technically with how well this is put together, even in this kind of straightforward style. So. So I do think it's far less experimental than anything that's come before it, even Divine
That's
Attack.
True. Yeah.
But I've come to appreciate how well constructed it is, though. After listening to it a few times. So anyway, that's what I thought. Kevin, you said you had thoughts.
I have thoughts. Yes. So first impression is I feel like I should really like this song, and I do. It didn't grow on me. I kind of liked it right away for a lot of the reasons you just described. It's incredibly well put together. The first 10 seconds, that opening drum is insane. There's some machine gun feet in there that I can't wait to hear somebody attempt to play live and pull off, because that's going to be crazy. And the reason I think this kind of prog guitar style immediately came to me is that lead guitar riff at the beginning is like right out of the Polyphia playbook for tuning and rhythmic construction. My first thought was, wow, this kind of sounds like Brand New Day in a good way.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
So that's the part of me that was kind of leaning more that direction than like Soundgarden or Nirvana that way. Musically it's super cool, but kind of like Divine Attack, but for different reasons. It feels really safe, which has made me feel really conflicted.
Yeah, I agree.
You mentioned, you say it's really well constructed. I've never had feedback like that, or that's never been the front of my mind when listening to this band. And I can't decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing in terms of my fandom and kind of what I expect out of their music and what I enjoy the most about listening to it.
Yeah.
So I think conflicted is where I'm sitting. On the one hand, I really enjoy this. On the other hand, I really kind of hope the rest of the stuff we get is kind of a return to form, to experimentation and just kind of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I know the era of the first album is over. Like, we're never going to get cutesy, kawaii lyrics over super heavy metal anymore, just because that doesn't make sense because they're adults anymore. That I don't expect that. But one of the things I've always really liked about the concept is the experimentation and the juxtaposition of styles.
Right.
We got a lot of that on the last album, for good or for bad, depending on some of the songs and what you like or don't like about what they did. So far, we're kind of 0 for 2 on the juxtaposition side.
Yeah,
which has really led to my confliction.
Yeah.
I mean, I think monochrome is, there's a little bit of the music is heavier than the vocals.
Yes.
By a wide margin. I mean, like, so it was pretty interesting to hear, like if you feed Monochrome to an AI that can remove the vocals so you can hear the instruments, it's actually it's heavier than you think.
No, it's exactly as heavy as I think. Like, that's the first thing I noticed was like, wow, this is really heavy. I can't wait to hear this live because it's going to knock me over. Mm-hmm. But I guess is that enough for me? Maybe is the question, to have the juxtaposition or the contrast between, soft ballad style vocal and then coming in being very heavy underneath it.
Yeah.
When you think about past tracks, or ask people what their favorite songs might be, I don't think it would be a stretch to say it's stuff where it's two very conflicting ideas meshed together and forced to work.
Yeah.
Which is not what we're getting here.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm sort of similarly conflicted. Like, it's because I do sort of feel like I'm not enthusiastic to have them just like do the same thing over and over again, right? So this is different from what they've done. I mean, like, that's sort of what we're saying, right? Like this is, in a sense, more normal than anything they've done, meaning different from anything they've done. So I don't know.
Yeah. Funny Toss says in the chat he wouldn't say BABYMETAL really did the smash two conflicting ideas together in Metal Galaxy.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, but they also explored a lot of new genres and musical ideas for them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Which I think made up for the previous albums where they were really smashing ideas together, right? They were trying prog, they were trying some screaming vocals. They were trying, like that salsa sound, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it had a clear direction and it was different enough from what other groups out there are doing to still scratch that itch of, this is super unique and cool and nobody else is making music like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These two songs aren't doing that, which is why I'm conflicted, because on one hand, I really like them. I headbang to them. They sound great. Paul said Monochrome is incredibly well constructed, and I agree. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, is that what I want? I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I truthfully don't know.
Maybe that is why I feel the way that I feel about them. It's just, you've pretty much summed it up, because sometimes I just don't know, like, that, like, why I think sometimes the way that I think or do or say or whatever. Sometimes you need somebody else to kind of come in and they're like, I know what you're thinking. Here you go. And it's like, yes, you pretty much did that. Yeah. So I agree with pretty much everything that you've both have said, really. It's just kind of like, I was thinking, like, when I was at work the other day, like, like you said, we're not going to go back to the cutesy little tutu, oh, hey, how you doing? Sort of thing like they used to, that they're adults, but you still want that excitement of, what are they going to come up with next? What are they mashing together? How's this going to sound, And yeah, I do feel like these two songs are kind of safe. Like you guys said, I just, I'm hoping. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We got 3 more songs coming. So, and then, yeah. So, here's hoping.
Yeah, and I do want to call out Funny Toss again. Says we've only heard 2 songs, and if you'd only listened to 2 from Metal Galaxy, you wouldn't have known what the rest of the album was like, and we wouldn't have been able to draw the conclusion that I just did. Right?
Hell, we had
totally fair.
We had 2 totally separate albums that were mashed into one. So yeah, definitely wouldn't be able to figure that one out.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I do want to say I am reserving judgment. I'm not writing this off as I'm going to hate this album because of these 2 songs being safe. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Oh, by no means. No, like I said, I would, well, like I said, I didn't say it yet. It's been an even, Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. I'll definitely listen to it. I will definitely, it'll be springtime. I'll have my album in my CD player that I still have in my car. Thank you very much. And I will blast it like I've done every other album. And the
Yeah.
people on their
Yeah.
way to work will be annoyed with me, and it'll be okay,
Yeah.
and everything will be glorious, and it'll be good.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's not like the things we're saying are bad, right? I think these are very good songs.
Yes.
And that's not why we're conflicted. I think one thing, nobody likes change, and this is, another new direction, right? And secondly, do we want to accept them moving in a more like widely appealing direction to grow as a unit, right? Like at some point they're going to have to make concessions or change the way they do things a little bit to be more mainstream, right?
If they become more mainstream,
grow,
yeah.
if they want to grow internationally and be bigger, do bigger shows, do Madison Square Garden, for example, that kind of thing. Like they're gonna need to be more broadly appealing rather than keep doing things like the first 3 albums.
Yeah.
Which is totally fair. I would want to probably do that too if I was interested in making money.
So I guess like one thing I keep thinking of is, so I would say probably through all of the first 3 albums, you could say like, this song is, BABYMETAL's take on this, everything. There's always some sort of source that then they interpret,
Yes.
right? So they turn it metal or whatever, but so it's, whatever the Night Night Burn is, some sort of like salsa thing, turned metal.
Right.
So this, we could still, unless you think that Divine Attack and Monochrome are both the same, they could still be like a BABYMETAL take on those things that are the source material,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I do sort of feel like they are. What am I trying to say? That they're good examples of the thing that they are.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? But and also I think the thing that they are is not something that they've covered before. So
Absolutely.
like Kagero, right? That is mainstream. Like there's that is the most mainstream song they've done, right?
Yeah,
That's just
absolutely.
like a rock song, and I don't see that being much distinct from Monochrome, really.
Yeah, that's a great
In fact,
point.
I think Monochrome's better, but
I do too in a lot of ways. Yeah, no, that's a great point. I hadn't really considered it. I think we should also continue to look at this through the lens of we've been told it's a concept album of some sorts.
yeah.
So exploring different ideas and kind of choosing where they want to go next, I think is probably part of the vision for this album. So I guess it's fair to expect that they try things like this because they haven't before.
Fair enough.
This is where they're leaving us, though, right? So we had October, we had November, and then we have like a break till January.
Yep.
We don't know what's, we have to sit here with these 2 songs wondering.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should talk about the actual video and maybe the lyrics a little bit.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah. I find them confusing. So the video, they're not in the video. And there's it's sort of cityscape and and there's this like, there's an umbrella theme and a tree theme and a fireworks theme. And I would say it is sort of like blatantly obvious that this is, somehow themed around the nuclear bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Right?
Yeah.
The monochrome firework and the fairly sure that what we're looking at there is in the video is like one of the survivor trees, that made it through. And, I think the umbrellas are all sort of like protecting to what extent they could, but from fallout and that sort of thing. So it's got a serious theme.
Yeah.
But I don't understand what the message of the song is. At the same time, it's like, just keep smiling is how it ends. It's like, what? All right. I don't know. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I kind of drew the same conclusions. Those were my first thoughts as well, is that it seems like it's referential and reflecting on that event in world history. But yeah, you're right. The lyrics, I think you can swing them in a direction that where that kind of makes sense, right? firework representing the bomb.
Very no rain, no rainbow. I don't know. I that's the what's the word I'm looking for? That's the comparison I'm making. Is lyrics wise is very no rain, no rainbow.
Right.
So sort of like move on beyond this or something, I guess.
Well, it's I mean, it's very much talking about, monochrome, gray color. If I'm, that is what monochrome means, correct? It just means the grayish color. Okay.
Single color,
right? Everything's the same, kind of blah, nothing's, and then like the end of the visualizer, I say visualizer now, at the end of the video, the trees popping up and it's all in color, and I had a thought and then it went away.
Well, I mean, it does seem like, it's kind of, I mean, they like the theme of, push forward, keep going kind of thing. And I suppose at the end, it's kind of like, despite all that, the tree survived, and now it's in color and it's flourishing, and, we made it through. But it still feels like this is not quite like, it's not quite like the message of karate. I mean, like, a lot of people did not make it through. But I mean, the monochrome firework, it's pretty much the bomb, right?
That's what it seems like to me. Yeah.
So that's why I find the message here just confusing.
Yeah, well, yeah, they talk about Ragnarok, right? Two, which is the destruction of the universe. Like the Norse universe, right? I think that's Ragnarok. I'm trying to explain it without referencing Marvel.
Yeah, no, that's Ragnarok. Yeah, that's the Norse Valhalla, that sort of thing. Yeah. The destruction of everything, including heaven, I think, aka Valhalla.
So if we take those lyrics, the monochrome firework, drenched by rain and freezing in the night, I think it makes a pretty clear picture of what they're trying to convey. But then you're right, it ends with just smile.
Yeah.
Which feels really out of tone and inconsistent with the rest of the song.
Right. Early on it does say, even the bright star that was shining yesterday, in translation, but so I guess what this means is we're past it, right? We're looking back and attempting to move forward, and I guess, yeah. I mean, if we're here still, the badness is fading away. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's very strange.
It'd be really interesting to talk to the Japanese fans and see what their interpretation of this is. Because I think that'll give us a better indication of maybe what the intent is than us trying to interpret the English version of the lyrics.
Yeah, could be. I mean, there aren't a lot of lyrics, but still, yeah, it would be definitely interesting to hear.
No, but we lack that cultural context.
Yeah. I was wondering too if there were some, if there were any kind of like dialect features of Hiroshima, because that's where Sue comes from, which makes it sort of particularly sort of relevant to her, I suppose. And I mean, in Legend S also, that was sort of a theme there too, but which was in Hiroshima. But yeah, it turns out when I asked the question, everyone who might know said no, they didn't think there were any sort of Hiroshima dialects things in there.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's an interesting one lyrically. I would say this is probably their song with the most mature theme.
Yes.
Which is probably in its own right pretty interesting. And it kind of adds another layer to my unsuredness of how I feel about this new music.
I'm sure it will all be clear by the time we get to the third song.
Yeah, clear as mud, I'm sure.
Yes, as always.
They did put another comment with the Japanese and English lyrics pinned to the YouTube video, which was nice.
Though it's actually subtitled, like
It
burned in
is.
subtitled, which is, I think, the first time they've done that.
I think you're right.
So even without that pinned thing, we actually had the lyrics.
Right. Lyrics, MK Metal, music and arrangement by BABYMETAL.
Yeah. That I should have gone back and looked to see, but that pairing is a long-standing one. I mean, that particular team has made several of their prior songs.
Yes.
This is the core BABYMETAL team making this.
Totally.
Right? So it should sound to us like them.
Yeah, and it does.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear the rest. If anything, it's made me really interested and excited to see what the rest of the album has to hold.
Yes.
Right.
And also what they're going to do in January, which we haven't, I don't think, talked about
Yeah,
yet.
that's a big thing. I mean, we kind of touched on it.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a concert. But I don't think we know much more than that, right? But we know the venue, and we know
the venue, and that they've some of the tickets have already been released as far as
lottery round 2 has happened.
Yeah, for the Black Code, I think has just been released.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's see, where is...
And the only reason I bring that up is, if they are moving in an even more mature and adult direction from where they were at the end of Metal Galaxy, that could have implications to how they present themselves in concert as well. Because, they're very theatrical and put on like a stage show rather than a concert. So this could lead to some really interesting live things.
I'd be down for that. I enjoy that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's always been a big thing about BABYMETAL is that it's that live concert, live stage, some theatrics, all the dancing, and just all of it together. So, yeah, I mean, it could still, definitely could change some things up, but it would still be pretty awesome, I think.
So it's pretty likely, I would say, that we're going to get the third song before the shows. Maybe just immediately before the shows. But the shows are at the end of January, right? January 28th,
29.
Yeah.
So, and we know that there's the third single is in January sometime. So, I don't know what I would expect. They keep trying to do this, like release a song like Distortion or Papaya right as the show that it debuts in.
Yeah, didn't Papaya come out launches. Like the day of the show or the day before, the night before or something?
It was the day of.
Was it the day of?
Right? Yeah. It was like because I remember standing there with my phone listening to it with everybody else.
It leaked a little bit earlier, but
that's
what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the day of.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting the mix up. Yeah, because there was a leak. I forgot about that. Because I remember listening to it in the car. I was like, "Yeah, this is great." I'm just like speeding down the interstate.
Interesting. Well, I think most people who heard the leak said, who is this person in our song? Get this person out of our song."
Yeah.
I was one of those people that did not do that. I thoroughly embraced him at initial. Like, I thought it was cool as heck.
Definitely different.
So, who knows? Maybe we'll get the third one on the 28th, the morning of the 28th.
Yeah.
In Japan.
I guess it's possible. It was actually probably good. Oh, well, I guess maybe it doesn't matter. But I was going to say it was probably good to have Papaya released a little bit earlier because that gave the people in night one, the chance to sort of like experience the song and rather than just be befuddled by it.
I think I would have continued to dislike it had I not seen it live shortly after it came out.
Yeah.
That song completely transformed live for me.
Well, and I think they did a remarkable job. If I'm not remembering this wrong, I think they the concert happened and then 32 hours later, they released the video from
Yes.
that concert.
They did.
It was a very rapid turnaround. They had to add, the campfire sparks, and then it was ready. That always looks ridiculous. Like, for no reason, somebody threw a log in the fire right in front of the camera.
Hey, when you got a 32-hour turnaround on your live video, you're using the stock footage.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I guess we will get only one more song before the show, and we're supposed to get 2 more before the album release. So I guess I wonder what they're going to do at the show.
Yeah.
Are they going to play just those 3 songs? Are they going to preview some?
Well, I mean, we only have history to go off of. They played more live than they released before Metal Galaxy came out. To a point, right? They left some surprises for the album. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they played at least one more, maybe 2.
I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah. So
SD Metal wants to know if we can expect another live album.
Yeah.
most likely.
I think the answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
They always have one.
I have no information at all, but
they always have one.
Yeah. There's I think there's probably 0 chance that the shows in January will not wind up in a purchasable Blu-ray.
Absolutely.
Well, I have like this weird feeling that might be part of what the Blu-ray is the concert. But
from the
speculation, but
Black Edition or whatever?
from the clear edition.
The clear
edition.
Oh, yeah. Right.
The other one edition, yes.
Right.
The membership edition.
It would be pretty surprising if it weren't.
That's a good thought.
Actually, I changed my mind. I think they would want to sell that separately. So,
well, I mean, they did. Well, bear in mind that when they released the Metal Galaxy, the 1 edition, they had snippets of Legend M as the bonus for that in there.
Right.
So bear that in mind.
It definitely has happened before.
It could happen. If I'm not mistaken, that was actually only a DVD too,
it was
right? I mean, like
DVD.
It was
480p.
Yeah,
it was
it wasn't the best quality. No, it wasn't great.
Yeah,
but I was still excited because it was that's a show I went to.
Yeah, but it does feel a little bit like, including a couple of songs from Legend Metal Galaxy and with Metal Galaxy, right? Obviously the timing wouldn't have worked for that, but I don't know.
I mean, it could be.
I can't think of what else it would be, though. Really,
it could be these music videos, visualizer things that they're releasing on YouTube.
I suppose that could be. Yeah,
that would be kind of on brand.
maybe it's the behind the scenes thing that we thought the gallery was going to be.
That'd be cool. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I think that's.
Well, if they do transition to like, adults or whatever, then maybe that is the time when they can be free to say, all right, well, this is how we got here. Here's some like, home movies from when we were kids.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing, but I think that's pretty low probability.
Yeah. That's not really what they're still branding the whole, we're superhero type things to some degree. So
larger than life.
Yeah.
But to Paul's point, if this is a new direction, this would be the time to do it.
Well, true. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
Although 10 Baby Metal years would also have been the time to do it.
True. In that regard as well.
Well,
but
you know what? I'm going to disagree with you on that because that was a celebration of everything that had come before then.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying so what I was saying, the time to release the stuff from before then would have been then.
Oh, you mean like the baby,
all the behind the scenes stuff, when they're little kids.
But that didn't transition us into a new era.
No.
You got to follow the chapters. We didn't turn the page officially yet.
Okay.
When those happened.
So there's still hope, is what you're saying.
Hopium. Copious amounts of hopium.
Also in January is the clear code information. We don't know what the clear code is for.
I think it's the beginning of February, actually.
Oh, really?
I think it's February, yeah. Yeah, I could have swore it was like February, like 11, like maybe begins in January and ends like February 11th or something like that. I'm pulling like the 9th and the 11th of February for some reason.
Somewhere. I'm trying to find some official thing that talks about this. Because there is something that like the clear code will be revealed, but isn't yet. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so 2023 2/11 to 2023 2/19. Right. Okay, so it is February. It's February. That's right. It's like a week in February. A week and a bit.
So it was the 11th.
So it's February 11th. February 11th to February 19th.
Wow, I was right about something. That's unusual.
Wow.
So
hey, I'm allowed to knock on myself. It's okay.
So the timing of that, it's 2 weeks ish after the concert, right? And it lasts for about a week.
And my assumption on that is that that's going to be a one of those, like the online thing, like the concert stream. Yeah, I have a feeling it might be that with some of the what do they call that, after the stream actually has been done, and you can watch it afterwards.
Archive?
Yeah, there we go. I'm putting the tinfoil hat on.
Well, no, I think that's the most obvious thing it could be. Would be, because of the timing after the concert and the fact that it lasts a week. I think probably it is rebroadcast for the people who could not go. And the clear code, I believe the clear code comes with a lot of stuff,
yeah, the
right?
clear code pretty much,
like almost everything comes with the clear code.
Everything but the Black Album and the membership edition.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If they want to sell this, they still don't want to show it all on the stream. So I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. Where's WoW on all this? They've also got to.
I haven't heard anything on WoW for a while. Man, that seems like a long days away. Hearing.
They're usually in charge of the cameras.
True.
Like so,
yeah.
I bet that's gonna be. I bet in January their cameras will be there, and soon after. They will broadcast it, and we will try to find a way to stream it in very low bit rate.
Yes. We'll get that 7-day free trial of whatever app has WoW on it.
I'm not sure that you can do that anymore. I mean,
there are some that used to do that, yeah, but they don't do it anymore. But I'm just making a general kind of just joke.
Yeah. Well, no, I've wanted to be able to pay somebody to watch these things, and I just can't, because I think they're all shady. I mean, none of them are actually legit. They're all somehow pirating and rebroadcasting and taking people's money.
Yeah.
So they all get shut down. But anyway, okay, it's possible that we have wandered away a little bit from.
It's possible we have wandered away.
So we. I guess I don't know. So, what do we talk about next time, and when? Because we know that next time we are not gonna, unless we wait a long time, we're not gonna have any more new songs. Maybe there will be new news.
It could be
Great
new
question.
news. I mean, we've had ideas thrown around the last few times about what we could go over on the.
Yeah, that's true. There's topics
there
we
are
could do.
Definitely topics we could do,
So.
which is what we normally do, but. Now that we've actually got news, we can just do strictly news at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we have had topics in mind for a while, so.
Yes.
All right. So, but otherwise, it is possible that we could wind this down.
That would
it is
be
possible we could write this down.
beneficial to my brain currently.
And that's it for this episode. You can join us on the Baby Metal Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back at some point, maybe 2 weeks. We hope you'll join us whenever that is. And until then, see you.